we do flip the switch and we're in these same systems benefiting from this, most of us, would we really sincerely at that point try to eliminate this thing or manage it? Because there's a difference. Feeding a hungry man today is compassion, but ensuring he remains dependent on the food you are giving him is control. Are we together? Giving relief is noble, though. But when you ensure that these people are dependent on that relief, that is slavery. Now, the danger comes when societies become better at managing poverty than solving it. And that's what happens when poverty becomes an industry. And industries will never seek for the disappearance of the raw materials that they need to exist. Are we together? Any questions so far? The reason I'm coming from this angle is to do like a mindset shift, because there are a lot of things that we're not conscious about as persons. But this will help us self-reflect, be able to look at these things from a different point of view. Now, to the greatest paradox, which is, we said the shareholders, the greatest shareholders, which is you and I, have now become the greatest beggars. Now, let's talk about democracy. At the core, democracy is ownership, yes or no? Yes or no? Yes. It's not a rhetorical question. Democracy is ownership, yes or no? Now, the Constitution begins with the idea that sovereignty belongs to the people, that is us, right? And government exists because the citizens permit it to exist. And politicians are employees while citizens are employers. That's the basic idea of democracy, correct? And we are the highest shareholders. But it's very fascinating that in Nigeria it has become like the otherwise. The shareholders have now become the beggars at their own companies. It's so crazy that imagine you own this building, this company, Cashco Apartments, and for you to survive every day, when you're living, you have to meet the kid and say, oh, please, I bet if you give 2K, make I. Now, in the Bible, there's a scripture that says, I've seen slaves riding on horsebacks and princes walking on their feet. That's what has become in Nigeria. It has been flipped. And this flip has, what enabled it is a lack of understanding and poverty, knowledge poverty in our country. How do we understand this? How do we know that we're the greatest shareholders, yet we beg for the things that belong to us? We beg for good roads, we beg for quality education, we beg for electricity, we beg for security, we beg for health care. And we think that these are gifts. We think that when they give us the barest minimum, that they are doing us a favor. And you see Wiki come on TV and say, who can say they've not benefited from the new regime? Wiki will build 8 new bridges and they expect you to dance and somersault. And there are some foolish people, you enter a boat now, you'll say, oh my, Wiki is really trying, man. Like the bridge is like, it's crazy. Like, are you a fool? Like, why is your birthright, why is it now, why have they rewired your birthright to look like a gift to you? It's very, very sad. And we all of us are part of it too, in our different aspects. I say, but if we really want to say the truth, some Tinubu's policies are working. These are not gifts, these are not favors, these are not acts of generosity. These are obligations. These are our rights, your rights and my rights. But somehow now the owner has become the applicant. The beneficiary has become the victim. And the shareholder has become the beggar. And that is why there is a crippling of democracy. Now, the crippling of democracy. Who should benefit more from democracy? Is the question. The people, yeah? But why are we always living on survival mode? It's so sad that some people will light know they are at the end of their tunnel. Do you know? Yeah. Some people will live on survival from the day they touch earth to the day they leave earth. It is sad, sad, sad. And why this will always be the case is because a financially secure citizen will always negotiate. Meanwhile, a desperate citizen will always plead. A secure citizen will demand for accountability. But can you demand for accountability when you are not even secure? Can you stand up to the structures that you exist in when you are not secure? Can you say, in fact, let's start with the most basic. Can you file a lawsuit in Nigeria with confidence, knowing you are on your rights against authority and power and win? Can you? So, how will this ever change? So it's very, very important that even as a people, we do and play our own parts in eradicating poverty. And when I mean poverty, once again, I'm not just speaking to poverty of finances. I'm also speaking to poverty of the mind. Now, we speak to the government's role in all of this, correct? But we don't speak to our own role. The average poor man has no issue cheating their fellow poor man. That is the truth. Poor people are some of the most wicked people. Poor people will exploit you more than the rich will exploit you. But these things will never change. You can't demand accountability when you know that you are a reflection of the opposite of the accountability you're looking for. In your office, there's some level of corruption, a form of it. How do you stand up to it when you know that you do your own part, your own version of your own corruption? And that is the hold and chokehold they've had over us. So in all that we do, we must liberate ourselves from poverty. And the biggest danger of poverty is it doesn't just empty pockets, it shrinks imaginations. I'll give you an example. Let's say in the office, do you know that in civil service now, do you know there are people who don't aspire for a certain level of success? They just aspire to be like the person directly in front of them that is corrupt and makes petty money from corruption. I'll give you an example. Say immigration. Immigration are people that do passports, yeah? Now, you'll be so surprised that if you go and ask the person that is not, let's say the security people there or the normal people that don't interface with people applying, some of them, their biggest goal, their biggest sight they can see is to be the person directly handling passports, because the person directly handling passports, did they sort them, did they bribe them, do you understand? And they don't see that there's anything beyond or outside that. Their biggest goal, their biggest height they want to attain and say, make I just reach that point where now me go they handle applications, and person fit just come now dash me 100k make I fast track their own. Are you seeing how poverty has killed the imagination of an entire human being, that they will spend the rest of their lives aspiring to just reach a goal this foolish? Are we together? Because the biggest danger of poverty is not financial, it's psychological. It compresses your vision, it forces people into survival mode. A hungry man can never dream in decades. A hungry man dreams in meals. I want you guys to sit on that for like a few seconds. A hungry man will never dream in decades. He will always dream in meals. Because the only thing he's concerned about is his next meal. A hungry man will never dream long term and say, oh, 5 years from today, 7 years from today, 10 years from today, as a result. It's psychological. Most of the people who have created wealth now, they had the same access that our parents had. That's just the truth. Some of these civil servants, these men that now have properties all over, the same way they acquired those properties, the same grants, the same loans, the same pay collect from my salary, small, is the same level of access that our parents, some of our parents had. But our parents did not make use of this opportunity because they were operating on survival mode. And the longer we stay in survival mode, the longer this poverty is going to exist amongst us. Are we together? Every great nation, every great thing was built twice. First in imagination, and second in reality. But when that imagination is robbed, you're robbed of that imagination, what happens? Before there was a road, someone imagined that road would be there. There's nothing that exists that is not a product of imagination. There is nothing. So we must be conscious to the fact that this is a very severe and serious problem that poverty is robbing us of our imaginations as a people. Now, I'll speak about the next thing. The weaponization of scarcity. I think poverty is the destination and scarcity is the vehicle. That's how I like to look at it. Now, we all know what scarcity is, yeah? Scarcity is the absence of abundance and the presence of little, correct? Now, once people begin fighting each other every day for limited resources, they don't have the time to question the systems that created that scarcity anymore. Correct? A perfect example is I grew up in Maraba, right? Then back in those days, when we close from work or anything, we come to this Nitel Junction. And everybody is standing at Nitel Junction for like 20, 30 minutes. And once bus comes, you enter from window, you enter from wherever you can enter from now. Now, you do the same thing in the morning when you're coming from Maraba on that bridge, right? Then you walk for morning to evening. Then you do the same thing when you are going back. Sometimes, what is the reason why there are not enough buses? Sometimes, for a hike, the prices for bus fares go up, right? Now, there's scarcity in the transport system. Now, as an average person living in Maraba or grew up in Maraba, if you make something out of your life, know that God loves you. Because you don't even have the time to think about the systems or the problems of the systems. Because when will you think about it? Inside that bus, where they will come squeeze you, then somebody will sell miracle seed on the bus. You know miracle seed. Is that the time you used to think? You can't. Or you sit down, the worst part is the one in coastal bus. When you enter the bus, there are seats by the, 3 seats by the right, 1 seat, 2 rows at the left. The worst is when you sit down in the middle. Anybody that wants to come down, you stand up and do like this. Now, do you know you can stand up and do like this 5 or 6 times before you reach Maraba? Now, do you know that that's a product of scarcity? So what time would you use to think of the problem? What, like, you don't even have the time. But guess what? Scarcity is that vehicle, and the destination they are taking you to is poverty. I remember what I explained. I said, for example, poverty even in the minds of educated people is political apathy, right? So scarcity takes you on that route every day, every day. You just wake up, you go Maraba Junction, bro. You sit down for traffic 2 hours to pass barracks. When you now pass the barracks, you now stop at Ministry of Finance. Yeah? You enter, then you do the same routine coming back. After a while, you're not even interested. You hear, oh, election is coming up. And election is the only day you now have to rest. It's now a public holiday. That vehicle of scarcity at that point has carried you to the final destination, which is poverty. And poverty in that form is political apathy. So you see that scarcity is the vehicle and poverty is the destination. Are we together? Everybody is fighting over crumbs that nobody has time to ask, why is the bread small? Okay, now use time when you use fight for the crumbs. Take the ask why the bread is smaller. May hunger wound you. Because scarcity redirects attention. It changes your focus from what is truly important. And once we don't operate in one mind and one accord,